Good evening. Welcome to SCI-Arc. First things first, class of 2019. You did it. We want to welcome everybody, our graduates, their families. We know how much of an effort and how much a collective, family, friends, they're all part of this process. We want to thank you for that. We want to remind you that we don't take that for granted. It's a sacred mission that we take it very seriously. We have a very packed event today. So I'm gonna say my words to the end. I just wanna say in the front that class of 2019 and SCI-Arc, now we move into a different phase of in our relationship. As right now, you're alum and a graduate of the school. And this is a very important bond moving forward for you and for us. We are proud of you. We expect a lot of things from you. And like I said the other day in the welcome to the whole school, in the words of Louise Bourgeois, she said that you learn for yourself, not for others, not to show off, not to put the other one down. Learning is your secret. It's all you have. It's the only thing you can call your own. Nobody can take that away. So whatever you learn here is yours. But whatever you do with that and how you share it with the world is a whole different story. And in the strange times and difficult times like we live today, don't underestimate the power of architecture to make a better world. It's your opportunity and your chance to change this world, to change why you don't like it. Build a more open society, build a more equal society. Do bridges, don't do walls. It is with great honor and very humble that I want to thank on behalf of SCI-Arc, on behalf of architecture at large, Frank Gehry. So, Frank, we present you. Yes. You can do it while you're sitting. You can do whatever you want. Frank, it's our honor to be our graduate. You can talk or you don't, whatever you want. You are Frank Gehry. You get to do whatever you want.
So this means I'm graduating with myself. Thank you. So I started teaching at SCI-Arc way, way back, before all of you were born, probably. And there were some rough times. They didn't know who I was or what I was, and I didn't know who I was or what I was either. But we got through it, and what a journey SCI-Arc has had, and the people that have supported it and been with it all these years, and look where you are now. Mamma mia, this is so great. I'm so proud of you. Keep on going, and thank you.
Okay, Frank, thank you so much. Next, I want to introduce our commencement speaker for this year. Our speaker is Barbara Bestor, who is an alum, an architect, a mother, and many other things. Barbara is a force of nature. Barbara has and keep a practice that is keep growing and growing and growing. It made us proud every day that she's an alum of SCI-Arc. She's also a board member because she wants to keep serving to SCI-Arc. She wants to keep helping to SCI-Arc. She has done remarkable projects. She has done remarkable building. She has been part of many non-profit institutions. So her commitment to the city, her commitment to architecture, her commitment to education, it gets renovated every day. So I'm very, very happy that she will be speaking today to all of you. Please join me in welcome Barbara Bestor.
Thank you so much, Hernan. Thank you, guys. Let me get my notes. Thank you for that lovely introduction. It's great to be here for several reasons. It's an honor to stand with and before so many great architects whose work has inspired me, and also to stand before you, a new crop of SCI-Arc graduates, knowing that you are the architects whose work will inspire us all in the future. But it's also great to be literally here in this very parking lot in downtown LA, because it represents the unique history of Los Angeles that has made it the new cultural capital of America. We're on a riverbed that was originally inhabited by the native Chumash people. We're also 1 mile from the original Pueblo de Los Angeles that was built by the Spanish and was actually a northern territory of Mexico. The railroad behind us was built by thousands of Chinese immigrants at the turn of the century, even though they didn't have a chance at citizenship until 1945. A few blocks from here, there are several street markers in Little Tokyo that commemorate the Japanese Americans who lost their property and were sent to internment camps in World War II. And right near us on these downtown streets were the notorious Zoot Suit riots that targeted Latino youth. And those streets have since then served as the image of countless dark and dangerous cities in the film noir period of Hollywood, and also as the sunny backdrop for urban romance in the rom-coms in recent years. More recently, this very parking lot is where I taught studio for a year in 2000 in a giant white tent that was rented. The entire school lived in a tent while we were remodeling this mile-long 1907 freight depot behind you to create our beautiful and permanent home. And now this same place is home to an incredibly diverse faculty and student body from all over the world. I think that, like the city of Los Angeles, our culture of freedom as architects is a uniquely West Coast culture that's actually in touch with our past history. We can deal with the good and the bad, the sunshine and the noir. We're optimists, but we're also woke. Here in the West, we're connected to our neighbors in Mexico, South America, Korea, Japan, and China. What I'm trying to say is, this is not Europe, and this isn't the colonial America of the East Coast. LA is a very unique place that represents freedom, creativity, and the future of 21st century America. And in fact, this city is the location of the most important and defining experiments and achievements of American architecture. The West is where Frank Lloyd Wright developed a new organic language inspired by Mayan pyramids and desert landscapes. Schindler, the émigré, used tilt-up concrete and played fast and loose with wood and stucco to create new sculptural forms. Greta Grossman built poetic glass houses and furniture in the hills of Hollywood. Ray Cappy's experiments with floating glass and wood platforms are modern monuments that disappear into the treetops. And the LA School of the 1970s, many of whom are also founders of this school, bravely rejected an increasingly corporatized modernism and reached new heights of sculptural individualism and gritty, QED, gritty urban expressiveness, with a sense of humor to boot. So this here, this is the West Coast where modern experimental architecture has happened, is happening, and will continue to happen, right here in Los Angeles, California. This crazy melting pot of a city has bred a culture of risk-taking, creative people that have collectively redefined the idea of freedom. So you guys, you all, my daughter told me you can't say guys anymore, you are in the right place to become architects. I think this is also the right time, but more on that later. There will come a time to talk about time. But so now I wanted to tell you about how, as a young architect, I discovered SCI-Arc in LA and built a career here and got to join the architectural conversation. I remember sitting right where you are now, not that long ago. Well, it was 1992, so maybe it was kind of long ago. But a lot has changed in the last 25 years. Back then, LA did not get much respect from the East Coast architecture establishment. It was considered a lightweight, superficial city, a temporary place full of pop culture and no urbanism. It was what we used to call in theory classes the other, which is funny now because you can see all around us how that very quality of temporality and cheap construction combined with an unbelievably beautiful climate and natural environment has led to all sorts of possibilities for expression and experimentation and new forms of architecture. I myself came here by an indirect route. I always wanted to be an architect, and I was kind of looking all over the place for architecture that thrilled me. I grew up on the East Coast, and I went to Harvard, certainly a bastion of the Eastern establishment, which had its merits, but I was pretty disappointed that most of the new buildings getting built around me at the time were these big things covered in brick. It was kind of depressing and ugly, like the USC campus. Sorry. They should really stop that policy. And so then I went further east to London. That's what proper architecture students did back then. We went to Europe. I spent a year at the Architectural Association in London, where Rem Koolhaas was teaching seminars, Zaha Hadid and Lebbeus Woods were having exhibits of their drawings. And it was amazing, but the economy in London at that time was dire. And there was this gloomy sense that all of these wonderful, radical architectural ideas were doomed to always remain a paper architecture, that these ideas would never be built, but instead would exist more as a science fiction or a theoretical fantasy. But then, in the winter of 1986, the new issue of England's prestigious Architectural Review magazine came out with Frank Gehry's Nelson House on the cover. That house, you don't know it, I mean, he knows it, but features this amazing writer's room, a sort of dreamy writer's room perched like a lifeguard station over the Venice boardwalk. It's built from 2x4s, plywood, and cheap tile, and it was incredibly thrilling. Amazing. We were all in love with the unfiltered joy in reimagining the vernacular, the wild colors, and the thrown together materiality, all in a real live building. It was right around then that Alvin Boyarsky told me about a new under-the-radar school in LA where all these new architects were hanging out, and it was called SCI-Arc. So the next summer, I somehow finagled an internship working for Tom Main and Michael Rotundi at Morphosis. Thank you, Michael, I see you there. I was making ink on Mylar drawings for the Progressive Architecture Awards, working with a bunch of other students in a Quonset hut warehouse in Santa Monica. It was super fun, and I got hooked on everything about LA. I went back to finish college on the East Coast and then decided to skip the traditional graduate education I assumed I'd do back there and came back instead to talk to Robert Mangurian about SCI-Arc. So my Generation X architects, we attended SCI-Arc when it was in a collection of funky warehouses. It's in the industrial hinterlands of Santa Monica. It was a very small school, but full of all sorts of creative thinkers, architects and theorists, who were busy rethinking and rebuilding the city of the late 1980s. We students got to know and work for an amazing group of working architects, some of whom are here today, looking at Ming and Craig right there, and some of whom also have leading practices here and around the world. My teachers and mentors at SCI-Arc included Marianna Ray, from whom I learned to love the vernacular of the Long Beach port and Randy's Donuts, as well as the pleasure of measuring and drawing Hadrian's Villa in Italy and the sacred Native American kivas at Chaco Canyon. She and Robert Mangurian believed in breaking down the barriers of high and low in art and architecture in favor of finding beauty and ideas for buildings all over the place. I learned from reading Esther McCoy's loving portrait of 5 California architects about my hero, Rudolf Schindler's habit of driving around to job sites with a load of 2x4s in his station wagon so that he could improvise new ideas in real time as he managed construction. I learned about and met Deborah Sussman, who had worked for Charles and Ray Eames and then developed her own language of supergraphics to design the amazingly colorful temporary city that made LA the stage set for the 1984 Olympics. She also gave us that 1980s rad color palette and changed the way that LA was perceived internationally through those televised images. Kevin McMahon ran the library even back then, and he and Margaret Crawford supplied us with every latest art magazine and the news from cutting-edge Tokyo, as well as treasures like my beloved volumes of all of our Alto drawings. There was a lot of intellectual and formal freedom, and a sense that the old rules of the old world of Europe and the East Coast did not apply. For someone like me, coming from that old world, it was eye-opening and life-changing. And I started to realize that I had really come to the best place in the world to be an architect. As a student looking around for role models, it was also inspiring to see recent graduates like Annie Chu out there designing innovative houses and exhibitions and working with humble materials to create forms that were both radical but also warm. And Annie and her peers showed me something else, how to start one's own practice. So I decided soon after graduating to try to make my own way in the world, because I wanted to take a stab at having a design-focused, woman-owned architecture firm. I shared a studio and some projects with my friend and a former SCI-Arc professor here, Norma Millar. And suddenly I had a whole lot of freedom, but I also suddenly had a whole lot more uncertainty. Yes, freedom can be scary. It demands that we grapple with big existential questions like, what am I doing here? What do I want to say? What's my artistic voice? And will my voice ever be part of the larger architectural conversation around the world? Well, for me at first, freedom came in all shapes and sizes, usually small sizes, very, very small sizes. No one was asking me to design museums or libraries, but I was able to work on houses and coffee shops, clothing stores, furniture, and kitchens. Lots of kitchens. Kitchens might seem prosaic, but as someone who's designed maybe hundreds of kitchens, let me tell you, you can learn from kitchens. A humble kitchen remodel forces you to answer important questions like, how do we live now? What's the nature of family life now that the nuclear family is no longer the norm? Kitchens in the old days were like Downton Abbey with sort of servants secreted in the back. Later in post-war America, they were more of a small office or possibly cage for servile wives. But now, whether you're at home or in a big office or in any current TV sitcom, the kitchen is where everyone hangs out. So let's open up the kitchen. Let's make it a bigger and more inclusive room, maybe including even the living room so that everyone can be more comfortable. You get the idea. There's a lot you can explore. And so even the most pragmatic and mundane programs contain some freedom for the architect to create extra value. Ideas about gender politics, fun experiments with color, and so on. There's always a little bit of space to find your voice. So as I lived and worked and hustled in the creative hive that is our city, I found I was making friends in a lot of other creative fields. Musicians, tech people, filmmakers, painters, entrepreneurs, and writers. And the conversations I had with these friends really fueled my own creativity, and many of them became clients. And they weren't just any clients, they were the best kind of clients, creative risk takers who were willing to try new things. The first house I got to build from scratch was in 1998 for a pair of artists who are also school teachers with very little cash. I designed a simple neo-modern house on steel legs that cantilevered over Mount Washington, and we built the whole thing for $220,000. By contrast, the latest house I've been working on 20 years later is for a toy inventor who became a friend after financing our Blackbirds housing project in Echo Park. And it's a house and studio in Seattle that's about 8 times bigger than that Mount Washington project. Ideas-wise, it gives us a chance to explore in the heart of America's original lumber industry new ideas about wood construction in the 21st century using CLTs and glue lamps. And you parents, if you don't know what I'm talking about, you can ask your kids later. But this is sort of how architecture careers grow. So over that 20 years of practicing, a lot has changed, which brings me back to the issue of time. Some people say that time is the enemy, but I've learned that to an architect, time is your friend. On a practical level, there are few professions where one peaks so late. You may have noticed that famous architects tend to be over 50, and that is actually one of the very nice things about this racket. By contrast, if you were in a K-pop boy band, time is not your friend. So be happy with your career choice. But it also takes time to have some experiences and challenges in building and time away from school to develop an original voice. Like all art, architecture is informed by living, and living takes time. So as the years passed, I kept living in this city, and my voice began to get a little stronger. But to be honest, it wasn't until I was 35 that I started to finally feel like my voice was truly my own, a voice that could only belong to someone who had lived my own particular life. And it actually happened in response to one of the most painful parts of my own life, the collapse of my first marriage. In the aftermath of that mishigas, I built a house in Echo Park for a newly single mom, me, my 2 young daughters, and I built something very different than what I had been doing up to that point in my work. Also different than what I had been taught. I made the house very quickly and instinctively, and it was not technically modern at all, but it was that black-gabled, weird little house in Echo Park that got me my first magazine covers, a book deal, and a much wider audience. So who knew? Crisis can be an effective agent of change. And after that time, I was emboldened to try out some bigger ideas at bigger scales. For instance, my love for supergraphics, learned from the LA Olympics, helped inform the hyper-colorful atmospheres at our many headquarters for Beats by Dre and Snapchat and Nike. And a show that we designed about Albert Frey and Lena Bobardi led to some ideas about the legacy of Palm Springs and that interesting architecture, the sort of pop modernism of Palm Springs, which resulted in a new kind of idea for a winery in Napa Valley. And speaking of Frey, and the sort of big names that we all love, like Frank Lloyd Wright and Zaha, I just want to point out, as a quick aside, especially to you grads, that while a firm may carry the name of its founder, there is really no such thing as the Ayn Rand, fountainhead, light, sort of lone visionary. It's a fiction. It's a fictional construct. And if I was going to rewrite the title of her nasty little book, it would be The Figurehead, because though we may often need one person to kind of front a firm for PR purposes, in reality, no one in architecture works alone. We are not cowboys. We are collaborators, and that is a very powerful thing to get to know early. In fact, making buildings is a collective act, and one of the really great things about SCI-Arc is that it gives you a place to connect to other like-minded people as your allies and possible partners and collaborators. I've been very lucky to assemble a remarkable group of architects that allows my office to collectively take on projects that we can kick ass on because of our combined skill sets, but frankly, none of us could manage alone. So back to time. Time's also your friend in another way, which is that we experience buildings spatially, but we also experience them temporally. Buildings are connected to the specific time, the moment in history in which they were built, but they really do exist much longer than most pop culture does. And as they exist, they collect more meanings as the times around them change. That's another reason that LA is the best place to do architecture. This city, with both its temporality and constant creative churn of demolition and construction, as well as preservation and adaptive reuse, is uniquely connected to time. I think we as architects need to be nimble and responsive to the changing culture around us, to be in the moment, to design for the people the way that people live now. LA, creative capital that it is pumping out culture every second of every day. We live here on the cutting edge, slicing through old rules to clear the way for the future to happen. And when I said it was great to be here, I meant not just here in Los Angeles, but here in this moment, because while in many ways our city is thriving, while it grows, there are myriad new problems to solve and opportunities for new ideas. And that is where you all come in. So I'm going to use my last minute of being up here to offer a couple words of advice as you move on to your next chapters. One is build things. I kind of think there's nothing more important than building stuff. It's the only thing that lasts. Building things is the way that we keep learning. Interacting with the existing world forces us to experiment and innovate in order to find solutions. You don't really have to join a big firm. It's okay to start small. Schindler built great art out of very small houses. But your work does have to be good and interesting. And so I exhort you to be greedy to build things. Secondly, please take risks. The only big payback, of course, comes from taking risks. The status quo, by definition, is boring. Don't bother repeating it. Take a look at the daily life happening all around you, wherever you live, and ask yourself what you can change or what could make it better. I think even little risks can make a big difference. You have the power to change the atmosphere of a room just by changing the color of a wall. Start small and build the scale from there. And lastly, never, ever forget your power to make people's lives better. It's a great time to be a graduate of SCI-Arc. The city needs you. Your city, if it's somewhere else, needs you. Cities are changing daily. In LA, we need new ways to live together in a new sort of dense paradigm for both homeless and middle-class people in crisis. We have all sorts of new energy sources, public transportation, automatic cars. The paradigms are rapidly changing, and architects are needed to help make this new version of the city even better than the last. And all of you can then play a vital role in creating a better future with more freedom for all humans. We are architects. We imagine and build new ways of living and being in the world. That's our superpower, so use it. So that's it for my advice. Thank you for listening, and whether you're staying here in LA or going off to Mexico City or Beijing or Seoul, take that sense of freedom with you. It's in you now. Hold on to it. Make it your own. You are all now West Coast architects. You're now part of this great living tradition of experimentation and innovation. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. That was fantastic. The next speaker, we like every year to have a student to speak on behalf of the class. This year, that student is Gutierrez Velazquez. She's she's not an undergrad student anymore. She's a graduate from the B.Arch program at SCI-Arc. She transferred after she started her education in Mexico, proving how smart she was. She convinced somehow her family that this was the place that she wanted to be. And she has been involved in so many roles in the school. She has been a student representative to the board. She has been a TA for many classes. But she participated in competition in which they won the first place and the Julius Schulman Emerging Talent Award. However, I would argue that Anne's most distinguished role at the school was her commitment and energy to make us, the people who run the school and the people who teach in the school, of all the issues that affect the students these days, all the emotional, the stress, the sometimes toxic environment that creative environments can create. So I think that has been a lasting impact. I think it makes us better, and we change and we listen to her representing the school. So please join me to welcome Anne Gutierrez Velazquez.
Hello. Thank you so much. That was a very kind introduction. I'd like to welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us today for this very special moment. It is an honor to be able to speak to you today, for I truly know that it takes a troop of family, friends, and fellow students to get any one of us here today. I would also like to personally thank my family and my partner, Charlie, for their unwavering support. It is a privilege to admire you and to be able to share this life with you. You know, I came to SCI-Arc late. I transferred into my second year of undergrad, and as exciting as it was to come to live in LA and see a different country and experience the culture here, it was also a little frightening. I remember the first studio day of that year, and I remember the teachers taking us to this little room and introducing the semester to us, and I was completely dumbfounded. I had no idea what I was supposed to do, and it was terrifying. But then I kept going, and day after day, I was working at my desk trying to figure out how to use this crazy software that was named all after animals like rhino and grasshopper. And I remember one day I was working at my desk, and I just felt a little tap on my shoulder. And I looked back, and it was a friend of mine now who said, "Hey, I noticed you were working on this drawing, and I think there's this one command that could help make it even easier for you." And then I was so inspired by that. I thought, wow, who was this person who doesn't know me, who just looked at me struggling for a little bit and decided to chime in and say, like, you can do this. And it was a small command. It was the smallest of things, but it made a difference to me. It was this one thing that connects points by making a line. Game changer. Anyway, I was really moved by this person, and as more time went by and more of my peers began to introduce themselves to me, I realized that every single person in this class worked as a team on 50 individual projects. It was not that everybody had their own ideas or their own issues. It was this whole collaboration between each person in the class as a team, which I found incredible. And they had welcomed me into the second-year community, and I knew I had grown better because of it. They helped me reframe the way that I thought about architecture and what it means to be an architect. I understood through them that an architect's greatest strength is in their ability to create by connecting ideas, perspective, and knowledge. It is in their ability to connect the line of unique minds that work toward a common goal. Remember that a line is meant to be a connection between 2 points, not as a means to divide 2 areas. And in this day and age, where we are encountered by so many different lines, be them border lines, racial lines, and economic lines, it is crucial to understand that the difference is not as a way of separating you and me, but rather a way of celebrating our diversity and what can be achieved when our differences come together. So as you continue onto your commencement into the professional world, I would like to ask you to remember not only the great amount of knowledge and skills that form who you are and your experience here, but also to reflect upon the community that you are a part of, to remember the times when you stayed here, late at night, even when you were tired, to help a friend finish a model, or to teach a peer a great rendering technique, or the times that you encouraged your friends on when they had a great review, and the times where you helped out when they were down and tired. This is a great lesson that we learned at SCI-Arc. It is what makes you unique within the professional field. The knowledge that when we embrace our peers up, when we share ideas, when we care for each other and build community, we are creating a better world where differences are celebrated and encouraged. It is the means through which we as humans and architects can create. So continue on with pride and confidence, because in the words of my great thesis advisor, Christy Vallier, you know everything you need to know. The coming lessons, experiences, and trials will only help make you an even better person. So enjoy. I am proud to leave the stage of my life, knowing that I am entering the next one with all of you by my side. Congratulations, class. It was amazing. Thank you.
I just want to introduce John Enright, which is our Vice Director and Chief Academic Officer. I can never ask for a better partner to run the school, so John Enright.
Oh, hi, everybody. What a great day. Thanks to all our speakers. I do this every year. This is fantastic. I get to give away awards, some of the awards. There'll be more later. And so I'm going to get right to that. When I say your name, please come up to the stage and receive your award. First, let me describe the first set of awards we're going to give. The first is the SCI-Arc Service Awards. These go to graduate and undergraduate students who make outstanding contributions in the area of service to the SCI-Arc community, and these are selected by the chairs, faculty, and staff. So, The first one in the B.Arch Service Award goes to Marianna Girgenti. The next service award for M.Arch 1 goes to Aminatou Fall. The SCI-Arc Service Award for M.Arch 2 goes to Juan Villareal. The next awards are the Alpha Rho Chi Medal. So since 1914, the Alpha Rho Chi, the National Professional Fraternity for Architecture and the Allied Arts, has promoted the profession of architecture by encouraging students to excel. To honor their achievements, the Alpha Rho Chi Medal is offered each year to over 100 schools of architecture, whose faculty select a graduating senior they best feel exemplifies these qualities. And we will have 2 Alpha Rho Chi medals. In the B.Arch, the Alpha Rho Chi medal goes to Jose Anthony Avila. The graduate level Alpha Rho Chi medal goes to Julia Arnold. The last award that I will be giving out is the AIA Henry Adams Medals. Each year, the American Institute of Architects awards an engraved medal and certificate of merit to the top-ranking graduating student in each architecture program accredited by the National Architectural Accrediting Board. These awards are provided as part of the AIA-AAF scholarship program. So there will be 2 of these. The first Henry Adams Medal for B.Arch goes to Anne Gutierrez. Where'd she go? She was just there. Wait.
Hi, thank you.
Yes. The Henry Adams Medal for graduate students goes to Julia Arnold. Now I'm going to ask that our chairs go up. Hernan gave me a great introduction. We are collaborators at SCI-Arc, as Anne said. The 3 chairs of our programs work tirelessly at this school and do a wonderful job. So I'm going to ask undergraduate program chair Tom Wiscombe, Graduate Programs Chair Elena Manfredini and Postgraduate Programs Chair David Rue to come up, and we will start giving the diplomas.
Raúl Israel Alfaro. Tarek Wassim Alewaran. Jose Anthony Avila. Anna Bahudian. Graduation with distinction, Christopher Daniel Becerra. Javier Benavides. Alex Stefan Bika. Timothy Raymond Caldwell. Sarah Lynn Carcamo. Si Yin Chen. Xu Han Chen. William Chen. Yi Wei Chen. Ravin Kiliam Kaptri. Adilet Dairabeyev. Justin Lynn Elliott. Graduation with distinction, Marianna Girgenti. Graduation with distinction, Anne Gutierrez. Andrew Minsu Han. Shihen She Huang. Sean Bretain Jefferson. Jinji Yang. Jelvis Zhao. Donna Lee Jin. Min Kyu Kim. Ruby Kim. Marcus Antero Lakowski. Anna Abin Lee. Li Wan Li. Lisa Yang. Qianwen Yang. Yu Cha Liang. Graduation with distinction, Xin Lin. Raina Lin. Erdon Liu, Yunan Liu, Xin Lu, Emma Mariel Mangun, Narcisco Martinez, graduation with distinction, Maria Jose Meza, Prarthna Misra, Bradley Ross Palmer, Zia Mustafa Sadi, Israel Guevara Sanchez, Joseph Dongyu Su, Eric Ramon Valle, Elizabeth Paula Van Dyke, graduation with distinction, Tucker Hulbert Val Lewen Hall. And with this I graduate. Kai Wang, Meng Wang, Zikong Wan, Ziyi Wang, Vicky Wen, Ye Xiao, Jianing Yang, Derek Lee Der Yen, Jin Min Zhang, Ziyi Zhao, Shu Chang Zhu,
Was that a rough one? It always is. Okay, so my name's Tom Wiscombe. We're going to go ahead and do the M.Arch 1 degrees now. All right. Oh, sorry. Is this 2 or 1? Okay. All right. All right. Give me a moment here. Okay. Emmanuel Angulo. Jared Henry Clayton Baker. Graduation with distinction, Elaine Chan. Ooh. Graduation with distinction, Andrew Chittenden. Songding Chu. Thank you. Thank you. Mirtilla Kiki Aliada di Montereale. Yaquing Dong. Okay. Graduation with distinction, Aminatou Fall. Rebecca Zan Fitzgerald. Robert Gutierrez. Tamara Haryutin-Yonyan. Octavio Hernandez. Pengju Han. Caitlin Hubert. Chen Ming Jiang. Jingyi Jiang. Brandon Robert Kinzer. Kyun Liu. Nianfei Liu. Toros Malyan. Saeed Hussein Maseh. Sung Wa Na. Mahayar Nagshabar. Longpan. No, oh, not there, not there.
Oh, you're here. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes.
We're doing better?
Doing better.
No. You are graduating. It's just,
Daniel Overbeck Ott.
okay.
Back on track. Nicholas Perseo. Shuking Chow. Daria Ragamova. Jonathan Cheyenne Rahimi. Patorn Sungurchi. Eric Talbot Schmidt. Ayihe Shen. Adavan Sandaramurthy. Rafa Terabici. Maximilian Daniel Tavdi. Daniel Arismendiz Tavares. Boya Wang. Yuan Wang. Yu Chen Wang. Graduation with distinction, Benjamin Joseph Weisgall. Qin Jiang. Graduation with distinction, Mingzi Zhu. Jiaohao Ye. Sabrina Yuan. Yahweh Zhang. And I guess that's good? Okay. Thank you very much. Oh, one more? Okay. Oh, Tom Gilmore. Honorary degree for Tom Gilmore.
And this is truly from both of us.
Yeah, from it is. All right.
All right, we're moving on to M.Arch 2 graduates. Divyansh Argawal. Graduation with distinction, Julia Robertson Arnold. Sweta Bhargavi Arunkumar. Graduation with distinction, Asma Abu Asaf. Maria Bendrivska. Raquel Bitar. William Maya Camargo. Chen Chen. Guangyu Chen. Yun Chu. Graduation with distinction, Elena Davidson. That's so dope. Swati Devadas. Samuel Flower. Andres Gandar. Rhett Hoyer Rubalkava. Sorry. Cheng Si Hu. Sing Sing Lee. Lin Chen Liang. Yining Lui. Zaidu Luang. Graduation with distinction, Akhil Mathu. Genki Matsukawa. Nicholas Michaelis. Jae-Yun Park. Priyanka Vipul Patel. Bong Q. Chisholm Sagwan. Gokei Sapan. Saogang Shen. Pantakan Srisawat. Juan Carlos Villareal. Ji Wang. Wei-Ti Wang. Jia-Yin Wei. Adam Mark Wells. Wang Yu Yang. Jikai Yi. Liang Yu. Wei Si Yang. Gabriela Ruth Zappi. Li Zhang. Zhu Zhang. Xiao Zhang.
And now we're moving to the EDGE program, Master of Science, Architectural Technologies. Rukia Akhter. And graduation with distinction, Pedro Ferrazzini. Pot Sung Huang. Graduation with distinction, Lori Michelon. Graduation with distinction, Sofia Ospina. Ji Ki. Graduation with distinction, Anthony Samaha. Rachele Scipione. Fatma Gonkatunk. Sarah Hilal Al-Sabi. Tal Dotan, Design of Cities. Graduation with distinction, Marine Lemaire. Ling Liu. Graduation with distinction, Nicolas Mark Stefan. Graduation with distinction, Yi-Kyung Wang. Master of Science, Design Theory and Pedagogy, Subin Jamil. Yelena Pozdakovia. Graduation with distinction, Juan Rincon. Graduation with distinction, Viviano Villareal Bueron. Graduation with distinction, Enrique Agudo. Master of Science, Fiction and Entertainment, William Chen. Ya-Chen Chang. Cole Patrick Daly. Heinrich Dieter Farin. And graduation with distinction, Jeremy Harley. Donna Lee Gimeno. Not you, for sure. I know it's not you.
Name change.
So I think that one is correct, but you call me Jim. So that one,
Okay.
I just took it, that is the correct one.
No?
Donna?
You see I have Jim on it? Yeah.
Happens.
We had 2 Donna Lees. You could put that
But-
one under.
Is this correct?
No. This one's correct.
Can Karabagli. I understand. Ko Chun Liu.
You could put this one. That's good.
Graduation with distinction, Case Miller.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Sung-Hwa Na.
Okay. I know who you are. Yep.
Anshli Alem Robson. Graduation with distinction, Catherine Stutville. Graduation with distinction, Saruk Tremontini. Tiffany Wang. Yu Kong Wang.
Okay, final stretch. Every year, we finish our ceremony giving the undergrad grad thesis award. And this year, we also have a postgraduate award. The undergrad thesis award is endowed by Blythe and Tom Main. The postgraduate award is endowed by Ming Fang and Craig Hodges. And the grad thesis award is endowed by Berta and Frank Gehry. So we thank all of them for their generosity and support to our young graduates. First, we're going to start with undergraduate. We have some merit undergraduate thesis award, and then we get to the, okay, hold on. Okay, and then first we'll do the merit undergraduate thesis award, and then we'll do the merit graduate thesis, and then we'll finish with the main thesis award. So, merit undergraduate thesis award for Jose Anthony Avila. Merit Undergraduate Thesis Award for Raina Lin and Xin Jin Lin. Merit undergraduate thesis award for Marianna Girgenti, Min Kyu Kim. Congratulations. Merit Undergraduate Thesis Award for Kim Wen Liang. And the last of the Merit Undergraduate Thesis Award goes to Javier Benavides and Eric Valle. Congratulations. Okay, we're gonna follow this with the Merit Graduate Thesis Awards, which they will be part of a gallery exhibition that opens Friday, September the 20th. So, we just finished graduate thesis 4 hours ago. So, already we have awards to give away. So, the first of the Merit Graduate Thesis Award goes to Shongding Kyu. The second Merit Graduate Thesis Award goes to Aminatou Fall. Congratulations. The next Merit Graduate Thesis Award goes to Waiting Juan. The next Merit Graduate Thesis Award is for Yikai Yi. Since the next Merit Graduate Thesis Award goes to Liang Yu.
This is Gehry.
Yeah, but I don't know where it's here. We give it anyway. It's fine. Congratulations. The next Merit Graduate Thesis Award is for Chening Yang. The next Merit Graduate Thesis Award is for Benjamin Joseph Wisgal. Congratulations, man. The Merit Graduate Thesis Award goes to Yuan Wang.
Sabrina Wang. They
And,
did it
and
together.
Sabrina Wen together, yes. The next Merit Graduate Thesis Award is for Mingjeng Zhu. The next Merit Graduate Thesis Award goes to Julia Robertson Arnold. The next Merit Graduate Thesis Award goes to Alina Davidson. Take your time. And the last of the Merit Graduate Thesis Award goes to Xiyao Zhang. The next award is actually the inaugural award, the Ming Fang and Craig Hodges Postgraduate Thesis Prize. This comes with money. This is America, it's capitalism after all. So the recipient for this year is Viviano Villareal Bueron. Congratulations. Spend it all at once. The next award is the Blythe and Tom Main Undergrad Thesis Prize. And in the class of 2019, the recipient of this award is Ann Gutierrez. So the last award of the day is the Gehry Prize, is the Berta and Frank Gehry Prize. And this year is especially unique because it's signed by Frank Gehry. I don't want to see it in eBay. The other thing I want to explain, we are changing a little bit the format of this. For the past years, since Berta and Frank honor us with their gift for this, it has been a struggle to figure it out. Grad thesis is 80, this year 82 projects from 2 programs, more than 20 faculties, too many different voices, too many arguments, too many ideas, too many aesthetics to try to clarify one single voice out of that. So this year, we're inaugurating a different approach, what we will call it the Gehry League. So there will be 5 recipients every year. So Frank, you have a league now. So, and the first one of the 5 recipients of the Gehry Prize for this year is Aminatou Fall. The second recipients, there are two, Juan and Sabrina Yemen. The next recipient of the Gehry Prize 2019 is Yi-Kai Yi. Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you.
The next recipient of the Gehry Prize is Liang Yu. Congratulations. And the last of the Gehry Prize recipient is Xiyao Sheng. Don't forget the check. Okay, we are very near of the end. So before I say some words, I want to first thank Barbara Bestor and Gutierrez for their commencement speech. Thank you so much. I want to especially thank Frank Gehry for being here and agreeing to receive our honorary degree. This is extraordinary. Thank you, Frank. I want to thank John Enright, Tom Wiscon, Elena Marferdini, and David Rue, my partners in crime. I want to thank all the coordinators, Grant Harman, Devin Weiser, Herbert Van Gauner, Marika Trotter, Florencia Pita, Jenny Wu. All you guys doing extraordinary work, getting everybody to get excited about being here. I want to thank our brand new chairman of the board, Kevin Radner. I'm very pleased to see so many members of our board in the audience. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your support every year. I want to thank the staff, particularly and especially Stephanie Atlan, who works tirelessly for this event. Ming Fang and Craig Hodges for their prize, Blythe and Tom Main, Frank and Berta Gehry. Again, thank you for the bottom of our heart. The League of Shadow Pavilion, done by Pattern, thank you, still works. Who knew that we can make it happen? And of course, the parents and the students. And the students are the soul of the school. It's what we do, is why we fight for it. As I always said, this is a school for fanatics, by fanatics of architecture. We have nothing else to offer but that. But that in itself is a world, is a lot, is enough if you can use it properly. Raise up every day. Do not compromise. Do not sell out. We will demand it from you. I always said the similar words at the end. We demand that compromise with architecture. A while ago, Frank Gehry told me, I cannot say exact words because this is a family crowd, but let's call it screw patience. Be impatient. Go and take it. Don't wait for it. The changes are made for those who go after things. They're not the one that they want to operate in the middle of the road. The middle of the road, you're only going to find yellow lines and dead animals. Never do that. Race to the challenge. Make it count. This is what you're going to do for the rest of your life. Do not take it lightly. It's a sacred. Architecture is a call. It's not just a profession. It's a life. It's a form of life. It's a choice that you make. And you have to live to that expectations. So as what has become my motto at the end of these graduations, we really hope that what we gave you here is an extraordinary experience. We really hope that you look back in your time in SCI-Arc and you remember as a great time in your life. But don't you dare make it the best time of your life. This cannot be the best years of your life. It can be, it has to be, and it should be only the beginning. Within that, let's go and party. Thank you.